Hello and welcome to our first ever, or possibly only ever, episode of Build the Roster or Build the Game. We don't really have a title for this because it's more like a, one of thing, so probably won't end up being a series, but hey, at least we got a name for it. Speaking of the name of the game, the particular franchise or piece of media we will be covering is Power Rangers today. So essentially, we will be discussing what would a Power Ranger, your ideal Power Ranger game look like? How would it play? Who will be the main characters and what types of music, etc., etc. So, that being said, I'm your host and sometimes referee, the friendly neighborhood Zach Pearson, and today I'm joined by the secret sixth Wakandan Ranger, a one Romulus the Goth Slayer.
I have a good amount of merch for this. I am a professional uh, Power Rangers person. I can provide as much information as needed, and I have the perfect games in mind.
Okay, well, my Power Ranger pimp status is more of a legendary situation. So it goes without saying, but for those the uninitiated, which is anyone under the age of 10, Power Rangers has changed franchise ownership in North America multiple times. However, one of the particular owners values the story and the coherency of it, what we commonly refer to as canon, and some don't give two flying fucks, and some only reference it when they want to get extra money in the middle of a season. It's that simple sometimes. It sounds fucked up, but it's true. In my case, I grew up with Generation 1 OG. Yes, the original Generation Power Rangers, and I've seen every iteration that they've been attached to, including anniversary or legendary episodes where they've shown up. When it comes to the new stuff, which it's a little few and far between these days, I actually don't really follow it all that much because, let's be honest, there's a quality inconsistency, but some people love it for its wholesomeness and the PG-13 camp that can occasionally, get serious, or some people like it when they spend a lot of money on it and you get a season with decent types of action. You got to look at Power Ranger fans the same way you do Dragon Ball fans. Some people love the comedy, some people love the action, and some people love when they try to find that middle ground. That's where I'm at. So that means at a bare minimum, I've absorbed, I want to say, a minimum of about 13, maybe 15 seasons. And I did catch some of the Disney stuff because there wasn't a dramatic quality drop. So I actually know about a few things that most people wouldn't, including unique and rare games that North America will never see, unfortunately. Fun fact, what was it? The Turbo Power Rangers, and the Ninja Storm Rangers had a PlayStation 1 game. Yeah. Of all the Rangers. And as for America, those Ranger groups are about close to, if not 7 to 10 years removed from each other. So yeah. With that being said, I'm just going to break down a little bit of guidelines. No, this won't be some hour-long, super long thing, which, oh my God, we could talk about that all day. I have been lucky enough and fortunate enough in my life to have known Romulus over 10 years at this point. Officially, it's over 10 years. I have actively avoided having Power Ranger conversations with him because I know me and him won't fucking stop. I just know it. So, the fact that unfortunately this conversation is going to be short and only got 3 categories, which I'm about to list, is nothing short of a miracle. Number 1, game type as in genre. What genre do you feel your Power Ranger game fits in the most efficiently or based on your feelings? Number 2, music type. And 3, build that roster. Tell me who your 5 are. Or are you going to go up into the crazy numbers? Some seasons had 7 Rangers over in Japan. And for the record, no, they don't have to be locked into the same iteration of Power Rangers. You can play the mix and match game. Anyways, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself and Romulus, man, have a fucking ball.
He lucky he said this gotta be short. I would have talked about this all day. First and foremost, game type RPG. I know that it's so easy to make beat 'em ups, but I feel like kind of redoing Rita's Revenge. I mean, I already bought the new beat 'em up they had, but we gotta just really spread our wings in our talent pool. Because an MMO or just an RPG in general would fucking hit for Power Rangers. Also, for the music type, I want it to be a very much collaboration of an homage to the entire series as a whole. Because if you look at how they did Sonic Generations and Sonic Saturn Generations, they really paid homage to how it was done originally and remixed the song just a little bit. Not too far off where they can't be recognized, but very much modernized with the modern sounds and techniques and stereo equipment that we have in the times today. Anyway, for the music of the Power Rangers, we need to have as much as the dichotomy as a whole presented throughout, especially going from each different aspect of the game. You can have your classic rock that they did for the first 5 seasons, then we can go more into the, I wouldn't know how to describe it more, the contemporary or the alternative rock that they kind of did for shows like Dino Thunder SPD, or was it?
Yeah.
I figured then we can just end it off with, I guess, the least desired, but it's still there, a techno week that they tried to do for Beast Wars and Ninja Steel and stuff. I wasn't really feeling it, but we don't need to keep fucking playing Go Power Rangers. I swear to God, please make it stop. It was cool in Samurai. It got overplayed for Mega Force, but we just couldn't let it go. Please, I beg of you. We know it's the original opening. We like what you did the first time, but you didn't need to do it 5 times over. Let it go. Go Power Rangers can't hurt you anymore. Please, just let it go. Now again, for the core 5, because doubling back, because I had different results. Because for the first part, if we're gonna go for my medium style game, I would want the first game to be like Fusion Fall, that really old Cartoon Network MMO where you could collect different what do they call it? Evos, little blips of the characters, where you could customize and make your character look like what. Honestly, the out of morph fits like from Ninja Storm or Samurai, where they have like the gis on. You can customize that, and then your little ranger buddy that you pick up throughout the game. Each color representing a different element, and then each of those individual rangers can be set to attack, defense, or health, or I should say attack, defense, support type characters. And you can build your team around that with up to 5 co-op, because that'd be sick. And then for the more expensive type, Xenoverse 2, that's where you can really just get into that main character scenario, because that one, that could work more of like the offline and online aspect. Because for that one, you could be the second person in existence with a Master Morpher, which can allow you to be the other Rangers you want. And for that one, I would honestly keep it to like a strict team of 3. Because you're talking about 25 years of Power Rangers dichotomy put into the CAC you're trying to making. CAC, create a character. And then as time goes on, we could, if it lives, DLCs and even special events, including certain teams from Sentai's or Kamen Rider, it should be ballin'. And then for my core roster, I wanted, for both games, I wanted a good, again, generational dichotomy from, you don't have to start from Mighty Morphin, but I understand the importance of it and having the history shown out through the lifespan. Because I know it feels like right now we're not going to be getting any Power Rangers things for a long time, thanks to Hasbro being Hasbro and auctioning off more than half of the everything for Power Rangers. So having something like that be referenced and understood throughout the game would be perfect. But also, yeah. Wow, almost brain farted because if I wanted to be very hyper specific for my main roster, I want the Fusion Fall game to be Alpha and Zordon, because again, you're collecting Rangers and they have their Ranger signals and the beeps through the different areas that you got to level up and go through. But for the Xenoverse type game, I would very much like kind of the overworld aspect of Kanton City, but I very much want the obvious face of the old gen, modern, and new gen. I know that's kind of like modern and new are kind of like the same thing, but hear me out. For the old gen, obviously, everybody's favorite, Tommy Oliver, OG, been through like probably the Ranger with the most time in the most series. Even if Dino Thunder wanted you to forget about Turbo, we didn't. He was there as a Red Ranger. And then going forward from that, modern being from, in my opinion, from the start of Ninja Storm to RPM, that would be Udana from Mystic Force or RJ from Jungle Fury. And then lastly, the only character I really like from the new gen is Jaden Shiba from Power Ranger Samurai. Something works. Yeah, because again, we're trying to reach out to, I guess, a wide audience for the bigger RPG game. And it'd be very hard to encapsulate a focal point for people to understand without, I feel like, having those three referencing the time. Because, again, a lot of people younger than me slightly very much enjoyed Mr. Tommy Oliver popping off throughout the history of Power Rangers, from being the first Evil Ranger, kicking everybody out the Megazords, to getting the White Tiger powers, powering up, and then becoming a Red Ranger, even only for a little bit. Still became Red, still led a team. Actually, no, he became a Red Ranger for 2 seasons. Excuse me. But yeah, Zeo Red, Turbo Red, held it down. And then finally came back not only as a mentor figure in Dino Thunder, but also became a Ranger again. Probably one of my more favorite fits that he had in the Black Brachio.
Oh, you have a very wholesome approach. Not that I'm complaining. I straight up got nasty with it. So, if you don't have anything left, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. But if you do, just let me know.
Got you.
Okay, so for my version, I want the game type to be a strategy RPG, but it has combat that's themed after real-time action. The closest game to match it, I would say, is Project X Zone, but Project X Zone in a 3D format. So you get a grid, no pun intended. Your characters are loaded up, and a barrier gets put up by SPD or whatever intergalactic unit is responsible for anti-monster or anti-giant enemy defense systems. Your characters go in, and depending on where they fight as a team or a group, they can use certain weapons and not use certain weapons because there's humans around or innocent civilians. So, you know, if the enemy's using long range shit, you can't fire back because they got human meat shields everywhere, you know? But when it gets to the bosses, you know, first off, the normal size is a mini boss. And They can move around and cause stage hazards or make it harder for them to fight them. But if you gang up on them like Power Rangers should, because there's no such thing as a 1v1 in Power Rangers on purpose, you can fight them and it becomes a little bit easier. But of course, infinite enemy spawns and putties or whatever you want to have will be coming and annoying you the whole time. Now, when you get into the Megazords, though, you got a choice. You can have all the characters get into their Megazords immediately, which is usually 1, maybe 2 once you get that 6th Ranger who always gets their own Megazord to themselves. Or you could have them fighting their individual Zords, because here's the thing. You don't know if this boss is going to maintain that 1v1 aesthetic once you go into that Megazord form. It's not uncommon for these guys to spawn their own little minions when they're in giant format, or the Power Rangers just get ganged up on right before they get new Zords in the next season. That's essentially how I would do it. The combat will feel something like Legends of Legaia. All your moves will be mapped to a special button, or Dual Saga if you're familiar with that. Or again, just look at Project X Zone 2. You get more moves, you map them to certain buttons, and then you can do a combo with them. Then it's the enemy's turn, they do the same to you, etc., etc. And you can, if you have co-op or you have other Rangers close to you, you can do team attacks or get passive abilities or unique functions that you can only access just because they're next to you. That's why I say, Rangers fight better together. Now for music, bro. Yoko Shimomura, who's known for the Street Fighter 2 soundtrack. Yes, that soundtrack. As well as fucking the Final Fantasy 15 soundtrack. Bro, let her make orchestral versions of some of the most iconic songs. No verbal. And also throw in Nobuo Uematsu. Same situation. Let him listen to the sounds, let him come up with original compositions, and let them just cook in the studio, man. Please. Now, as far as the roster, okay, so I'm going on unique experience because there's technically 3 different Power Ranger canons. Let's just say the scenario is there's an interdimensional barrier that's being broke by some monster thing that no one knows about, and it's causing time distortions and interdimensional distortions on Earth. And it gets bigger over time down the line. So that means, boom, we got an excuse to bring in Time Force, because Time Force notices that this thing is easier to deal with and it's less chaotic in the past. They don't know what caused it, but they figure out the exact day it show up, and they send somebody there preemptively, knowing that it was against the laws and regulations, while they're waiting for approval, because that hole is a serious threat to the fabric of reality and Earth in the meantime. So they send out Jen Scotts. Now Jen Scotts is the Pink Ranger from Time Force, but she's been promoted a few times, so her outfit's a little bit different. She's basically in a super form of what she normally is. And she knows that she needs to look for 2 specific Rangers because they, for some reason, their descendants were able to help slow down the growth of that dimensional rift. Unfortunately, it cost them their lives. So she needs to find the Mystic Force White Ranger, Udona. And she also needs to go and find the new-ish yellow Ninja Storm Ranger. For those who don't remember at the end of Ninja Storm, the 2 comical supporting cast female villains became ninja apprentices. Well, now let's say they're full-fledged shinobi. So there's our yellow ranger, our female yellow ranger. So we got our white ranger, we got our yellow, and we got our pink. Now, for the first time in history, I'm doing a completely new thing to Power Rangers. I'm making a 50-50 split team, just because I've never seen it before. So now we need 3 dudes. Dog-E Kruger, because Dog-E Kruger is in charge of the Earth section, as far as we know, of SPD. So because of that, he is personally investigating this case. Remember, he's a police officer and technically a detective. Now Doggy goes there, and the first thing he finds is someone who shouldn't be there, which is our Jason, or as we know, also known as Austin St. Giebler. So now we have our Red Ranger, but he's from the comic book, so he's out of place, and there's 2 Jasons. They even meet at one point. So here's the thing. This Jason has more transformation states. In fact, his second form, he starts fighting like he's fucking Wolverine. He's got claw hands. Or claw gauntlets. And his Megazord is completely different. It doesn't even look like a traditional Power Rangers Megazord. If memory serves, the thing doesn't even have feet. So there's R2. And those 2 are always butting heads, because it's not because he's a young man with an attitude who's a ranger. It's because this Jason does not know that it's no longer the Wild West, that there's rules and regulations. And essentially he's butting heads with them because they both want to be the leader. But the real reason is because Doggy Kruger cares about this Jason, and he knows that he doesn't understand that the rules are different now. And of course, the ultimate plot device himself, Billy. We gotta have Billy, because Billy's too smart to not help out with the situation in some way, shape, or form. And you know what? Since there's time travel, Jen Scott can even say that, hey, you know, Billy is actually one of the founding members of Time Force. He was like 70 or 80, but he's still a founding member. So, of course, all these Rangers know other Rangers. They build up a network, no pun intended. And, you know, they go about their venture. And, of course, they get their eventual Secret Six Ranger, which in this case, I would say we'll make it a No Name, who is a custom Ranger, who's a mix of we'll call him the Destined Ranger, who's basically a custom Ranger specifically for this title. Now, he gets brought on by the Morphin Master. In fact, they even keep certain threats in a special prison that only they have access to, because they know that if these guys get out there, a threat to existence, or all Power Rangers across all dimensions, blah, 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 blah. And they say, listen, child or young person, you are going to do great things as a Ranger, and we're starting your journey early, and your mind will be wiped when this is over. But the main reason you're here is because you are someone who only exists because this interdimensional rift exists. You're the person who has the best chance of being able to fend off and fight and help us upgrade these Power Rangers to fend off every single monster that goes near these rifts and gets these chronological mutations. The morphing grid is basically working on the manipulation of light frequencies. But an interdimensional rip in time and space can separate that light, those light frequencies and light energies. So they don't hurt the Power Rangers, but they can basically depower them or separate their power. But since you were born specifically in between that time and that era, we'll say something stupid like, you know, the rift started at a hospital and anyone who was near it got infected or something. Your mom was pregnant with you, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. We pulled him from the Time Force era, or we just pulled him from some point in time in the future where he's 18. Boom. Doesn't want to be a Ranger, but he's getting knowledge from everybody. And how that Ranger turns out is based on you. Everybody gets new suits just to make them look uniform. And they get essentially what is an anti-Ranger form. They all get anti-Ranger forms, or they get super dimension forms. This is a form of Ranger that is immune to radiation, and they're immune to chronal distortions, meaning they're immune to any form of time stopping, which is unique because Doggy Kruger can actually stop time. So he's one of the best people for this entire mission. So yeah, that's what I would do.
I like the idea. I should have put more thought into mine because I completely ignored the Megazord aspect, a very key part of the show.
There's our little build the game video for you. With that being said, we will see you guys in the next one, and have a good one. And listen to We Need a Hero. Yes, everyone loves Go-Go Power Rangers, but listen, We Need a Hero is the bomb. You don't remember it, but you'll know it when you hear it.